Hi, welcome to James Wanders Off the Pavement. Today we're going to explore Kiptopeke State Park. Kiptopeke State Park is a state park located in the southeastern end of the eastern shore of Virginia in Northampton County, near the town of Cape Charles. The park offers recreational access to the brackish waters of the Chesapeake Bay with its shorelines, beach, boat ramps, fishing piers, and 5.1 miles of biking and hiking trails. It's also home to the historic Concrete Fleet. So we're entering the tunnel. You see there's a lot of construction going on. They're actually building another set of tunnels for this. When this was built, the way they constructed it, they built a couple of man-made islands, and then they dredged a trench between those islands, and they literally dropped these tubes into the trench. The tubes had caps on each end, and then they connected them up, and then they punched out the caps on the tubes to connect each section as the section was installed. It was really kind of there's a lot of really good documentaries about the building of the Chesapeake Bay on YouTube. So if you're interested, you want to see the engineering of the time, I recommend checking those out. So again, the Bay Bridge Tunnel, which traverses the Chesapeake Bay, is a series of tunnels and bridges. And the reason why it was built that is because to the left of me is Norfolk Naval Station, and to the right is the Atlantic Ocean. If they did not have the tunnels, all of the U.S. Navy ships would be locked in, and also the Norfolk commercial terminals are that way as well, so they wouldn't be able to get the merchant shipping in. So they built these tunnels so that they could keep the maritime traffic open. And we're about to go into the second tunnel. And it goes down to one-lane traffic. So. Before the bridge was built, they actually had a ferry. And as Hampton Roads grew, it was becoming very clear that the ferry wasn't going to be adequate enough to handle the amount of automobile traffic. So they built this. This opened in 1964, and at that time the ferry stopped running. Tunnel number 2. At some point, I may do a video just on the history of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge and Tunnel, because it really is quite a impressive story. Almost didn't happen due to a hurricane. The Chesapeake Bay Bridge and Tunnel has its own police force. So generally speaking, there's always going to be a cop on the bridges. So it's highly recommended to maintain your speed. Okay, so we're gonna go see if we can find these trails. I think I see one. I'm not sure if it's a trail or a service road, but either way, we're gonna go find out.
and this has got to be the trail. There's things for cleaning up after your dog, trash can, and signposts. I found it. Okay. Now we're going. Now we're moving. So the first trail I think we're gonna do the Taylor Pond Trail and the Songbird Trail and the Wren Trail all go this and the Raptor Trail. So the only one, the Baywoods Trail to the right and everything else is to the left. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so we found our trails. So the question I've had asked is, what got me started hiking? The answer to that question is really relatively simple. So I did 22 years in the Navy, and after many years of being retired from the Navy, I found that my physical fitness and my health had declined to a degree. So I decided I needed to do something about that. So I went out and I started walking, just short walks. Those walks eventually grew to the point where it was not unheard of to have me hiking 12 to 14 miles at a stretch. And I started realizing that I was feeling better. And I started realizing that I was dropping some weight, which was making my joints feel better. And hiking has basically enabled me to turn back the hands of time. And I'm 62. I started hiking when I was 60, and then when I was 61, I went to Portugal, to a city called Porto, and I hiked from Porto, Portugal, 180 miles to Santiago de Compostela, Spain, across 2 countries. It was quite challenging. There was a lot of elevation, but I accomplished it, and I've been hooked on it ever since. And so I thought, well, you know, I'm gonna be doing this. I might as well, you know, show some people, you know, maybe they're, you know, people that are getting ready for retirement age, maybe their health is not great, but small walks, baby steps. And the beautiful thing about hiking is it doesn't require any, you know, expensive memberships. It doesn't require any really special equipment. I would always recommend having a good set of shoes, good pair of shoes and socks. And I use trekking poles just to kind of help maintain my balance. And then see where we're at now. Oh, we're heading toward the lodges, the Wren Trail, lodges and cabins in the 10th of a mile. So we go see some of the other amenities of this park. Okay, but getting back to what I was saying, it's an inexpensive hobby. I mean, it could be expensive if you really want. I mean, I you know, you can buy backpacks and all kinds of equipment and hike the Appalachian Trail. I generally do day hikes, except for the Camino. The Camino took me 13 days to do the 180 miles. Tons of videos of that on YouTube. So if you're interested in the Camino de Santiago, there's multiple routes, long ones as long as 500 miles, shorter ones. The rule of thumb is to complete a Camino, you have to do 1,000 kilometers. But I live in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and we've got 44 state parks. All of them have hiking trails of varying degrees of difficulty. Getting out here in the nature is, I just love being out in the fresh air. I like seeing wildlife in its natural habitat, and it's just very, very well worth the time. And again, I believe that hiking is kind of I don't know if I would go so dramatic as saying saving my life, but it's definitely improving my quality of life. So that's why I hike. Woke up this morning, it was a little overcast. Now there's not a cloud in the sky. It is brilliant blue, a little bit of wind, not too bad. It's kind of nice. Absolutely beautiful. Woke up this morning, it was a little overcast. Now there's not a cloud in the sky. It is brilliant blue, a little bit of wind, not too bad. It's kind of nice. Okay, hikeaholics. I did about 5 miles of 6.25 miles of trails in Kiptopeke State Park. And you know, I'm having a blast doing these videos, and I really hope you're enjoying watching them as well. I'm going to keep doing them, but I realize that, you know, even though I show you the beautiful scenery and these wonderful places that I'm hiking, there's only so much of just watching me walk that you can do. So I try to leave you with something that's a little more interesting than, you know, just me walking. So you may have heard the term truth is stranger than fiction. And in Kiptopeke State Park, that is so true, it's not even funny. So just a quick thing, remember Kiptopeke means big water, which is on the Chesapeake Bay. Big water, big storms, big damage. And Kiptopeke started its life not as a state park. It wasn't a state park until 1992. Kiptopeke started as the ferry landing for the Little Creek Cape Charles Ferry, which ran between Norfolk and Cape Charles prior to the Chesapeake Bay Bridge and tunnels opening. It was the only means of getting vehicles and people across the bay, so if one of these ferry landings got damaged, it was a big deal. Commerce would stop, supplies to the eastern shore wouldn't make it, so the people were really concerned about it. So, you know, anyway, they were worried about the damage from storms to the ferry landings. So in 1942, change topics real quick. 1942, the U.S. government during World War II was running really low on steel, but they still needed to build some ships, and they needed to build them. You know, they're not the warships, but the support ships. All the steel was going to building warships for the war effort. So someone came up with a brilliant idea, and I didn't believe this at first, you know, that they were going to build ships out of a new lightweight reinforced concrete. And I heard this and I said, there's no way, concrete sink like a stone. But apparently it was true. And so in 1948, when the discussion of how they were going to protect the ferry landing at Kiptopeke was discussed, someone remembered that at the end of World War II, these concrete ships, nobody wanted them, nobody needed them, so the Navy just sent them up the James River to the Ghost Fleet, and that's where they sat from 1945 to 1948. When someone remembered these things, and they went and purchased them from the Navy for a song. Now, I know you're finding this hard to believe, but just wait. Allow me to introduce you to the last remaining 9 concrete ships. These are the concrete fleet of Kiptopeke, and they've become a very, very diverse habitat for seabirds, and people love to kayak to them and fish around them because they've kind of become more like a man-made reef, and there's a lot abundance of seafood and fish and all good stuff. But yep, it's real. It's not made up. It's absolutely the truth. And there, my friends, is where I'm going to leave you for the day. I'm going to go to Cape Charles, and I'm going to get a bite and a beer. All right, until next time, I hope you join me again. And again, please subscribe and like my videos. All right, thanks much.